We'll just wait for a few minutes to let people arrive and get on. Right, I'm just waiting to see if we are going live. If somebody could maybe let us know in the comments, that would be much appreciated.
Hey there, so in this video, I'm going to briefly talk about...
Hello, are we
Hello.
live?
Saba, can you see if we're live? Not showing on my screen at the moment.
Can't see anything yet
Yeah,
either.
I think it's working.
Are we on live, Caroline?
Yeah, it says just now live, so.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first Facebook Live. Welcome. We hope you enjoy the session. My name's Nicola Mitchell, and I am the founder of MC Home Tutoring. I tutor children from years 2 to year 7 in maths and English. I also prepare them for the Key Stage 2 SATs in year 6, and I prepare children for the 11+ exams for grammar independent schools for the Chem, GL and ISE boards. And I'm just going to put you over to Caroline now, who will introduce herself. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Caroline and I have founded Bright Prospects Tutoring. I tutor from 7+ up to 12+, both maths and English. And I also offer Spanish and French lessons from beginners to GCSE level for both children and adults.
Wonderful, thank you, Caroline. Right, we'll just get straight into our presentation. We hope you've got pen and paper and the text ready. We did post a link earlier in the week. If you don't have the text, don't worry, it will be on the screen. So let's get cracking. We hope you enjoy. Okay, there we go. Right, so first thing I wanted to do was really say a huge thank you to Saba at the 11+ journey. I've been tutoring for 5 years now, and this site, this forum has been an invaluable source of information for me. So I would, if you can, and you haven't already, recommend it to your family and friends because it is a really great resource. And both Caroline and I use it regularly, and we participate as well. And it makes all the difference to those people who are out there trying to do this alone and needing information and support. So thank you very much, Saba. So let's take you through our expectations for today. This is all about sharpening your comprehension skills, and we're doing this live based on The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which some of you may have read already. It's a fantastic book. So what are we going to walk away with today? We're hoping you can improve your understanding of a text through summarization, empathize with the character, explain their feelings, and kind of provide evidence to support your explanation as well. And then give predictions based on your understanding of the story so far. Your text is ever so important. Please have it handy. It's really, really important. So over to you, Caroline.
So my starter question to you is, have you ever been on an adventure? Where did you go? Who did you go with and what happened? Please feel free to put your comments on the Facebook group now so we can hear some of your adventures. Got but some people say they have read the book, which is great.
Brilliant.
Don't worry if you haven't, it won't make a difference for this. We're going to go through it with you. Oh, some people, Caitlin says she went on an adventure to Hawaii and saw a volcano. That must have been
Ooh.
amazing, Caitlin.
I would love to go to Hawaii. Haven't had that opportunity yet, but hopefully that's going to come in the future. Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. So here is the text. Here's the text that we are going to be using today, and it's a very simple text. We haven't gone into a text which is too complex because we really want to focus on the skills today. So Caroline, would you like to read it?
Yep, so this is a text about a girl called Lucy who also went on an adventure. Next moment, she found out what was rubbing against her face and hands was no longer soft fur, but something hard and rough and even prickly. Why, it is just like branches of trees, exclaimed Lucy. And then she saw that there was a light ahead of her, not a few inches away, where the back of the wardrobe ought to have been, but a long way off. Something cold and soft was falling on her. A moment later, she found that she was standing in the middle of a wood at night time with snow under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. Lucy felt a little frightened, but she felt very inquisitive and excited as well. She looked back over her shoulder, and there, between the dark tree trunks, she could still see the open doorway of the wardrobe, and even catch a glimpse of the empty room from which she had set out. She had, of course, left the door open, for she knew that it is a very silly thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. It seemed to be still daylight there. I can always get back if anything goes wrong, thought Lucy. She began to walk forward, crunch, crunch over the snow and through the wood towards the other light. In about 10 minutes, she reached it and found it was a lamppost. As she stood looking at it, wondering why there was a lamppost in the middle of a wood and wondering what to do next, she heard a pitter-patter of feet coming towards her. And soon after that, a very strange person stepped out from among the trees into the light of the lamppost. And this text is taken from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caroline. That was lovely. I was enthralled. Over to you.
Right. So we're going to look at the following question types to help us understand this text. You may be familiar with these question types from school. You may have come across them before. For each of these questions, there is a particular skill you have to use to respond successfully. So the first type is vocabulary, and the skill which is needed is to be able to explain the meaning of words from how it is used in the text. The second is infer, and the skill that is used for this is use clues from the text to find and explain your answer using PEE, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. The next is predict, give your opinion about what will happen in the future by using details that have already been given in the text. The next is explain, identify, which means find or explain how the choice of words or phrases impacts meaning. R stands for retrieval, retrieve, and quote key details from the text. And finally, we have summarize or sequence, find the main ideas from the text. So we're going to be going through some of these skills in more detail in this lesson. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That was wonderful. Okay, for my students, I found that a 4-step approach to comprehension questions works really well. And I've come up with this acronym called READ. So the R in READ stands for read the question and underline keywords. What is it asking me to do? We really need a structured approach to answering comprehension questions, making sure that we understand what the question is asking us to do. The next thing we need to do is to go to the text and find evidence. So the E stands for evidence. So we're using skim and scan to support. So go to the text and find evidence to support your answer. And we use skim and scan to do that. We can't spend time reading the whole text over and over again. So we're looking for those keywords in the text. Then we formulate our answer. So we put that down on paper. Read the question again. Make sure that you are answering the question that's been read, and then write your answer using evidence if needed, not always needed to write evidence. A simple 1-phrase answer may be enough. And then done. All of those things that students often overlook. Have I checked what I've done? Check and check again, please. Once you start using this acronym over and over again, your whole approach will be very very smooth. You'll be doing all of these things without even thinking about it. So we will be using the READ acronym throughout this presentation, and I hope you find it useful. I do have a poster that I have on my website, so you can check that out later if you so desire. So let's move on to our next slide. Caroline.
Okay, so the first question type we're going to look at is a summarise one. And the skill that is needed is to find the main ideas from the text. So let's have a look at the first question together. Number these events in the order that they happened. So here are possibilities. A, she checks she can still return. B, she finds where the new light is coming from. C, she sees a curious character. D, she starts to feel nervous about leaving the wardrobe. And E, Lucy discovers she's standing in a wood. Now, when we have a question like this, we need to skim and scan the text. R, read from the poster that we saw earlier. So I'm going to look through this text and see, can I find which one of these comes first of these 5 different stages of the story so far. I'm going to look for which thing makes sense. And as I look, I'm going to get my finger and I'm going to scan the text along and I'm going to see which makes sense. Now, as I look in the second paragraph, yep, it's nothing there. Oh, wait a second. The first paragraph says she was standing in the middle of the wood. So that means that our first event that happens is E. 1E, Lucy discovers she's standing in a wood. Now, using the skim and scan technique, get your finger and scan the text and see which of the A, B, C, D comes next. Perhaps you could write for us on the Facebook group. Number 2, whatever letter that is, number 3, etc., until you've finished. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. It's really important that we look for evidence to back up our answer so that we're absolutely sure we've got the right answer. Oh, somebody's already responded. So thank you. Somebody's saying this is typical of a kind of test type question that we might get in an exam.
It's a really good way, isn't it, of deepening your understanding of what you've already read.
Thank you. Lots of people responding. Fantastic.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. The more we participate in our learning, the more successful we will be. So that's great to see that you're all participating. Thank you very much.
Okay, give you about 30 seconds left. If you've already answered, just double check you're sure that what you've written makes sense, because that's something else when we look at the D for done on that poster, we should also be thinking, have I actually answered the question? And does my answer make sense when I look back at the question? Oh, lots of answers in. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's have a look then. What were the correct answers? So we've got 1E, Lucy discovers she's standing in a wood. Then we have the evidence that we found, Lucy felt a little frightened. So that's 2D. She starts to feel nervous about leaving the wardrobe. Then we have 3. Oh, I found a bit more evidence. She looked back over her shoulder. So that means we've got 3A. She checks where she can still return. And then I saw, I found some evidence in that paragraph a bit later on. I can always get back if anything goes wrong. That's also backing up my answer to 3. And then 4 must be, she finds where the new light is coming from. And the evidence in the text is it was a lamppost, because she says she went towards the other light. And then finally, the evidence we have is a very strange person stepped out from among the trees. So 5 must be 5C. She sees a curious character. Well done if you got that correct. Well done. Okay, let's move on then to the next question type. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you. Right, so the next question type we're going to look at is the type where you retrieve. Also one of the probably the easiest type of questions to do. It's simply reading the question, heading to the text, pulling the information out and formulating our answer. So the skill here is to retrieve and quote information from the text. So we're not having to make this up. We're not having to look into the sky for the answer. We are going to go back to the text and we're going to read our question now. So our question here is, what did Lucy say was a very silly thing to do? So I am going to, using my READ acronym, just further analyze the question. What did Lucy say? So we now know that we're looking for something that she said. And we also know that we've got a very silly thing to do. Now in the text, using the fact that we've read it and that we've done some summarization with Caroline, I think we know where this is going to be. However, I'm not going to do that for you. So if you can have a go now yourselves, we'll give you about 30 seconds for this one, just to see if you can formulate an answer for this, and then share it in the comments with us, which would be wonderful, and Caroline will feed back. Over to you.
Okay, we've got some answers coming through here.
Brilliant.
Somebody's asked, should we always quote from the text? Really good question. I would say for this kind of question, yes, because it says, what did Lucy say? Which means I'm going to be looking for evidence in the text to prove that I know what Lucy says. This isn't, as Nicola says, you know, a test of memory. I have to look for my answer in the text. So good question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and if we focus on the skill, we are bringing back, so retrieve and quoting information for the text. So what have we got, Caroline?
Well, one of the answers we have here was Lucy thought that to shut oneself into a wardrobe. That's a really good answer. Be careful because you haven't quite quoted the whole part of that sentence, because the question says was a very silly thing to do. So you need to make sure that you've used those words that either say exactly the same word like silly, or a synonym, similar meaning to the word silly.
Yeah, so find that
so that
evidence.
is a possible answer, isn't it, Nicola? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've got to find that evidence in the text, and it's the very silly thing that we're looking for. So we do need to make sure that we're underlining that area of the text to ensure we bring that information back correctly.
Okay, so let's have a look then. What do you think, Nicola?
Okay, so have we got any other answers, Caroline? Are we all along the same lines? Or
yeah, quite a few people. A few people have a lot of people have referred to the wardrobe. They haven't necessarily used the bit about the silly thing in it.
Yeah.
So that actually shows that we've got to be really clear with our answers.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through to the evidence from the text. So we need to make sure in order to answer a question using that READ acronym, we need some evidence. And there it is. There's the very silly thing. The words in the question are actually there in the text. That really is a very simple step-by-step thing for you to do. And let's have a look at the answer. It's a very silly thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. And you can see I've put some quote marks around those as well. And that really shows the examiner that you've taken something from the text as evidence to respond to the question, the retrieve question. So well done. Thank you very much for your participation in that. Okay, I will move on to the next question type, which is infer. Now, this is a little trickier than retrieve. We need to really make sure that we have a good structure that we follow to respond to questions like that. So we've got using clues. This answer isn't necessarily going to pop out at you. It's not as simple as retrieve where we can take a quote and bring it back and our job is done. So we're going to use PEE, which stands for, and I think some of you may have already heard it, is point, evidence, and explanation. So this really helps us to structure our answer nice and clearly. So let's go through how we would do that. So first of all, always important to read our question. Why does Lucy look back? Explain your answer. Now that second part of the question really shows you, and this is how you can identify that you may need to use PEE, is where you have to do an explanation. And it really demonstrates your understanding of the question that you've read. So ever so important word there, why. So we're looking for a reason for why she looks back, and then we need to be able to explain. So again, we need to go to the text. We're not going to find it in the heavens. We're not going to be able to find it in the garden. We're going to have to go to the text and look for it. So I'm going to underline that explain word, very important as well. We know we need to develop. So as we've summarized, as we've done some retrieval, we know that Lucy looking back happens at this point. Now, just before this point, I can see she felt a little frightened. So I could answer my question like that. I'm done. She looked back because she was frightened. However, in that same sentence, we've got her feeling very inquisitive and excited as well. So this isn't a clear-cut answer. So I think I'm going to need to look for a little bit more evidence here. And as we read on, we can see that she's just confirming that she can always get back if anything goes wrong. So I think here that Lucy's feeling a little bit anxious. So this is why she looks back. We know she's excited and inquisitive. I think her anxiety is playing on her mind. So the look back over her shoulder is to just calm that anxiety. So how am I going to answer this question? Why does Lucy look back? This is where my point comes in. There's my point. Lucy is feeling a little anxious. So I've made my point. I've answered the question. The examiner will want you now to develop that and explain your answer. So a little bit of a two-part question here. What evidence have I found to support that she's feeling anxious? So I'm going to pop that in there. We know this because she thinks I can always get back if anything goes wrong. Again, I have made sure that what I've quoted from the text is in quote marks and is clearly what was said in the text as well. And finally, my explanation for that would be, this shows that she is not completely confident about her discovery. So there we have a very clear 3-point response using point, evidence, and explanation. And again, I read the question nice and clearly. I went to my text to evidence. I've answered the question, and I'm just going to check again that I've done the right thing. So why does Lucy look back? Explain your answer. My point. That's my answer to the question. I think she's feeling a little anxious. How do I know this? I can always get back if anything goes wrong. Kind of showing us that she's not quite convinced that she's doing the right thing. This shows that she is not completely confident about her discovery. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So put that to good use when you next come across an infer question like that. Wonderful. Caroline, over to you.
Great. So now we're going to look at our final question type, which is a prediction question. And the skill that we need to use for this is give your opinion about what will happen in the future by using details that have been given already. So this again is not about, oh, well, maybe it's this, that sounds like a good idea. It's about, okay, what is there in the text already that will back up, give evidence to my answer? So the question is, do you think Lucy will stay in the woods? Yes, no, or maybe. Now, sometimes when children see questions like this, they think there's only one possible answer. Actual fact, as long as you can back up your answer, give evidence from the text, you have a choice of what you say. Any one of those answers could be correct as long as you can prove it to me by using evidence from the text. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer that. Now, remember, this is also not about what you know, what actually happens in the story. We're only looking at this part of the text at the moment to back up our evidence. It's not about saying, oh, I know this is what happened. I will have to find my evidence from this to prove my answer. Just give you a minute to have a look and respond.
Absolutely. And think about what you know about Lucy already. What kind of character is she? Is she one of those characters that will go forth and be brave enough to confront the person that's there? Or will she, like she did earlier, look back over her shoulder and make a run back for the wardrobe? So you just have to decide based on what you have learned about her character. So this is really putting yourself in her shoes and empathizing with her and thinking like she would think. There is no right answer here, but as Caroline said, if you can back up your response with something that you have taken from the text based on what you know about Lucy, then you should have no problem in getting a right answer here. What have you got so far, Caroline?
We've got a few people. Right. Zoe, thank you. Zoe says, I think she may stay in the woods because she says she's wondering what to do next, and she's not that decisive and not really brave, but she's also a very serious person. Okay,
Brilliant.
Good. Thank you, Zoe. I think I like how, so your answer would be maybe, and you've given two different reasons. It will be good for you to expand your answer, maybe use a bit of actual words from the text to back up your answer. So I would say to that, but yes, I get where you're going with that, and I think that's a very good point. Somebody else here, SK, says she was anxious because she said, I can always get back if anything goes wrong. Great use of the text to back up your answer. Well done. And so his answer, or her, I'm not sure if you're a boy or a girl, says no. So good. Great use of the text as evidence.
And some great explanations.
Okay. Curious person. Thank you, Zoe. Okay. That makes more sense. Anyone else? Let's see if we can get one more possibility. Oh, Aggie, hello. She says, I think she could stay in the woods because she could go through the wardrobe, but something could go wrong. Yep, that is possible. But what evidence have you used to back up your answer? So I agree, that is a possibility, but you need to use some evidence. And then Caitlin, finally, we've got, no, I don't think she will stay in the woods. When it says a very strange person stepped out, I think that means she'll be afraid and run away. And Caitlin, to kind of back up your answer a bit more there, you could use some words about what we learn about Lucy's character already to that point that shows that she's a bit scared at that point. And that would really give you a very strong answer because you've used more evidence from the text. Thank you very much. Okay, let's have a look then at the possible model answers, if you like. So we've underlined or circled the important things in the question. Lucy will stay in the woods. Yes, no, maybe, explain. So possible answer is yes, she has ventured to the back of the wardrobe. And so that shows us she appears to be a brave character. That's our evidence, that's our explanation in a way. So she will stay to meet the strange person. Or no, we have been told she is frightened and now there is a stranger coming, so she will run away. So that's what I meant when I said she already said she was feeling a little frightened. That was
I
our
think
evidence.
we had that answer as well, didn't we, Caroline?
We did.
One of
We
the
did.
comments. So
Yep.
perfect.
Very good answer. Yep. And then finally, we have maybe. She has mixed feelings, because we've said, somebody said actually, didn't I think somebody said it here, I think it was Zoe, that she's both curious and she's frightened. So we've got kind of like, those are the mixed feelings, and we could have used that as well in this answer. So she could easily both turn back or forge ahead, carry on with her adventure. Okay. So I hope that helps you with the possible answers and how we use evidence from the text to back up our own opinion in this prediction type of question.
Brilliant.
Okay, over to you, Nicola.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your participation. It makes all the difference for us as well. This has been a wonderful first live for us. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. So what's next? So we're going to come back. We're going to come back to you in a couple of weeks with sharpening vocabulary and grammar skills. So that's Saturday, the 12th of March, the same time, the same place, the 11 plus journey. And we're going to explain really and explore The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe again. So it'll be exactly the same text as you have now. You'll be very, very familiar with it. So the vocabulary and grammar skills we cover will really be quite accessible for you. So we hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us. No question is a silly question. We're happy to answer anything you need. If you need any more support, if you need any more information on what we've just done today, we'd be happy to help you. Just to raise your awareness that Caroline and I are running 2 Easter courses for that first Easter week. Caroline's will be in creative writing. We're going to do a group for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and I'm going to be further developing comprehension skills. So 3 and 4, developing them, and years 5 and 6, really sharpening those skills and using more of the PEE context. So please do reach out if you're interested in any of those. And thank you very much for your participation today. It's been wonderful. Really, really appreciate it. And Saba, thank you so very much for all your help and support in getting us here. We've just finished our first live. We're really, we're really happy. Caroline, would you like to say anything?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Yep, I've also got the creative writing skills at the same time as Nicola, but we're kind of alternating. So if you do reading with Nicola first and you're in year 3 and 4, you'll be going on to, if you wish, you can also do the writing with me in the later session, and vice versa. If you're in years 5 and 6, we're looking at grammar, spelling, vocabulary, punctuation. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you so much for taking part so actively as well.
Thank you. See you in a couple of weeks.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.